This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
We continue to look at worker conditions in Bangladesh as we turn to new revelations about the fire that killed 112 workers in a garment factory near the capital of Dhaka last November. Investigators confirmed workers' descriptions of locked emergency exits. Until Wednesday's building collapse, that fire was the worst industrial accident in the country's history. These are some of the young seamstresses who escaped the inferno.
How the factory caught fire, I don't know that, but when we heard fire, we all rushed and were trying to get out of the factory. The factory worker broke a window, and one of the workers pulled me through the window. Immediately after the fire broke, we tried to run out, but the door was locked. When the floor became dark because of smoke, the boys rescued me.
When
the building caught fire, I didn't know, and many of us didn't know, because soon after the fire, the total floor was full of smoke, and we couldn't see anything then, and there was a chamber. We ran there, and all the workers broke the windows of the chamber, and we all could get out through that window.
For more, we're joined again by Kalpona Akhtar, still with us in San Francisco, Executive Director of the Bangladesh Center for Worker Solidarity. We are also joined, sitting next to her, is Sumi Abedin, a worker who survived the fire at the Tazreen factory. She jumped from the factory's third story, breaking both her arm and foot in the process. They're on tour in the United States, calling on retailers like Walmart, The Gap, and Disney to take the lead on improving working conditions in Bangladesh. Kalpona will translate for Sumi. Charlie Gurnigan is still with us in Pittsburgh. Sumi, welcome to Democracy Now! Tell us how you survived the factory fire that made clothes for Walmart and other companies in November.
মানে তুমি যেদিন কারখানায় আগুন লাগছে তুমি কিভাবে বাঁচছো বা কি হয়েছে সেটা একটু বলো। না দরকার নেই, যে আগুন লাগার দিন বলো।
24 নভেম্বর সকালবেলা অফিস গেছি, যে লাঞ্চ বন্ধ ডিউটি করছি, 1টা থেকে 2টা পর্যন্ত লাঞ্চ, পরে লাঞ্চে খাওয়া দাওয়া করে আসছি, আসার পর 6:30 পর্যন্ত ডিউটি করছি, করার পর এক শ্রমিক বাথরুমে গেছে, বলছে ধোঁয়ার গন্ধ পাইছে, বলছে কি আগুন লাগছে। পরে আমরা সবাই দৌড়ে উঠছি, পরে লাইন চিফ, সুপারভাইজার, ফ্যাক্টরি ম্যানেজার গালাগালি করছে যে কাজ করো, কোনো আগুন লাগে না, মিথ্যা কথা।
Like other day on November 24th, I came into the factory in the morning and I worked up to lunch, and I went outside to take lunch and came back and continued to 6:30. After the 6:30, one worker came into my production floor in 4th floor and screamed, "There's a fire in the factory." He smelled the smoke when he was in toilet. So by hearing this, we were rushed to the doors to escape. But the factory manager, line chief, and supervisors, they shouted on us and said there is no fire, it is lie, and they locked the door.
পরে আবার সবাই আমরা কাজে বসি, বসার পর 5 মিনিটের মতো কাজ করছি, করার পর সবার নাকে ধোঁয়ার গন্ধ গেছে, পরে সবাই বলছে কি যে আগুন লাগছে। পরে আমরা দৌড়াই গেছি, যে গেটের তালা লাগানো। পরে আমরা অনেকক্ষণ কান্নাকাটি করছি, করার পর ছেলেদের সিঁড়িতে নামছি, দোতলায় নেমে অনেক আগুন দেখছি, আর অনেক শ্রমিক দেখছি যে ধোঁয়ায় মানে তারা পড়ে যাইতেছে। পরে আমি সিঁড়ি দিয়ে উঠবো উপরে, পরে এক শ্রমিক মোবাইলে বাতি ধরছে, পরে ওই দিক দিয়ে উপরে সিঁড়ি দিয়ে উঠছি 3 তলায়। উঠার পর দেখছি 3 তলায়ও অনেক মানে আগুন ধোঁয়া যাইতেছে। পরে সব অনেক শ্রমিককে দেখতেছি কি জ্বালানায় একজাস্ট ফ্যান ভাঙতেছে। পরে অনেকেই দেখছি কি যে ধোঁয়ায় অনেকে মানে পড়ে যাইতেছে, নিঃশ্বাস ফেলানোর জায়গা নাই। পরে এক মেকানিস্টে দেখি একজাস্ট ফ্যান ভাঙতেছে, পরে ওই দিক দিয়ে মেকানিস্টে লাভ দিছে। পরে আমি বলছি কি পুরে মরমো কি, তার সাথে লাভ দিয়ে মারা যায়, আমার মা বাপ জানি লাশটা পায়। পরে এটা ভেবে আমি লাভ দিছিলাম।
Okay, so after working 5 to 7 minutes, I smelled the smoke, and that was coming from downstairs, and I got panicky, and I understood there is a fire in the factory, and I ran to the doors, the stairs, and found that is padlocked. And then I was running here and there to escape from the factory, but couldn't find anything, and the smokes was coming from the downstairs. And then I ran to the other stairs, which using by the man workers, and found that is open, and I was able to go to the 2nd floor. But as all workers using same stairs, many of them I saw stampeded, and they were falling in the stairs. When I was in the 2nd floor, I saw the downstairs is blocked by the fire, and I understood I couldn't escape from these areas. Then, meanwhile, the power gone. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't even breathe. Then some of my co-workers had cell phone, and following them, I was able to come. Following their cell phone light, I was able to come in the third production floor, where I saw many workers suffocated, many of my co-workers, and falling in the stairs. And I was just crying and screaming and asking for help, and looking how I can escape. Then I saw some of my co-workers trying to remove the window bar from the windows, and one of the mechanic is trying to remove the adjustment wire from ventilation hole, and after hard try he could able to do that, and then he jumped from that adjustment hole, and after him I saw one of my co-worker jumped, and then I jumped. I never thought that I will survive. I didn't jump to save my life. I did jump to save my body, because if I would be in the factory, I would be burned to ash, and my family even couldn't identify my body. So I jumped. At least my parents can identify my body. That I will know. Just continue.
Kalpuna, if you could ask her, how old is Shomi Abedin? How long had she been working in the factory, and what was she getting paid?
সুমি, তুমি কতদিন ফ্যাক্টরিতে কাজ করছো? এক আর দুই, তোমার বয়স কত? আগে বয়স বলবা, কতদিন কাজ করছো সেটা বলবা, এবং তুমি কত বেতন পাইতা, কত ঘন্টা কাজ করতা, কতদিন?
আমার বয়স 24 বছর। আমি তাজলিনে ডিউটি করছি 1 বছর 8 মাস। আমার বেতন ছিল 4400 টাকা। মাসে 5500 টাকা পাইতাম, 6000 পাইতাম। 11 ঘন্টা 13 ঘন্টা ডিউটি করতাম।
I'm 24 years old, and I worked at Tajreen 1 year and 8 months, and I was making $55 per month as a senior sewing machine operator, and including overtime, I was making $60 to $65, being working 11 to 13 hours per day, and 6 days in a week, sometimes 7 days.
So, Shomi Abedin, why are you in the United States? What do you want people in the United States to do?
সুমি, আপনি এই আমেরিকায় কেন আসছেন? এই দেশের মানুষের কাছে কি চান, বা আপনার এখানে আসার উদ্দেশ্য কি? কার কাজ করছেন?
আমি ওয়ালমার্টের কাজ করছি, তারপর শ্যানকম, তারপর ডিজনি, অনেক কাজ করছি। এর সাথে গ্যাপ বাইরেরও কাজ করছি। আমি এই জায়গায় আসছি যে তাদের কাছে গার্মেন্টসের কর্ম পরিবেশ নিরাপত্তার জন্য আর আমাদের ক্ষতিপূরণের জন্য।
In my factory, I made clothes for Walmart, Sean Comb, Disney, along with others. Once upon a time, we also made clothes for Gap. And I'm here to ask to them to pay the full and fair compensation to us, and in the same time to ensure the factory fire safety in Bangladesh.
Kalpuna, I'd like to ask you about this compensation issue. There was a recent attempt in a meeting in Europe to create a compensation fund, and all of the major American companies that were producing there at Tazreen, Walmart, Gap, Disney, all boycotted and refused to get involved in a compensation fund. Is that accurate?
This is totally accurate. The meeting has happened in Geneva, April 15th, where 4 of the European brands, they participated. One of them was over phone, but all the U.S. retailers like Walmart, Sean Comb, Sophie, who was one of the sourcing company from Tajreen, Dickies, Disney, Sears, all of them, they denied to participate in this meeting. So in this meeting, there was a discussion was to pay the compensation to the workers, but none of the U.S. brand has been participated. It is accurate.
Workers at the factory made clothes for several Walmart suppliers. After the fire, Walmart President and CEO Mike Duke said the company is working with factories to improve standards and has offered training sessions throughout Bangladesh.
I believe over 3,000 factories went through the training that was developed, including fire safety and the standards even for the associates to know. And then in 2012, even raising the bar more with even additional audits and additional focus. And unfortunately, this particular factory was one of the ones that had been decertified and was one that Walmart did not use as an authorized. I will tell you that the particular supplier, when we found out, had used an unauthorized factory. We took swift action. We terminated our relationship with that supplier, would no longer purchase any product. But with all of that, we're still stepping back again and saying, what else can we do?
Charlie Kernaghan, that's the CEO of Walmart, asking what else can we do? From the Tazreen fire to today's horrific tragedy, over 200 people dead at the building collapse and 1,000 wounded. Duke asks, what else can we do?
Well, it's a situation, excuse me, where the bottom has fallen out. The workers themselves, the unions, are talking about a general strike, talking about going after the U.S. government generalized system of preferences because we need to establish some laws so that the workers are not trapped in these factories. As far as I know, Walmart has done nothing to improve factory conditions. They go for the lowest price. They said they weren't in the Tazreen factory, but of course they were in the Tazreen factory. This is happening repeatedly. And now Walmart is saying, well, we may have been also in the Rana Plaza collapse. So they really don't know where their garments are going. There's tremendous corruption and graft. This has to stop.
I want to ask you, you've been a veteran advocate about this situation of exploitation of workers in the third world. I've interviewed you over 30 years now, from Haiti to Honduras, Salvador, China, and now increasingly Bangladesh. Yet we have here an administration in the White House right now that benefits from enormous American union support. What is this administration doing to assure some basic, decent conditions for these morally bankrupt companies that continue to find ways to exploit labor in the third world?
Honestly, I can't say anything positive. I know we've tried, and like other people, to work with the U.S. Trade Representative's office, but all we see are disasters, whether it's in Guatemala, whether it's in Honduras. Workers are being fired right and left when they try to organize a union. Bangladesh. In other words, they say that they have these laws to protect the rights of workers, and they always talk about the ILO, the International Labor Organization's standards: no child labor, no forced labor, freedom of association, right to organize a union, right to bargain collectively. All it is words. They never implement anything. So if the workers are being killed in Guatemala and fired and cheated of their wages, it all goes on. There's no changes. And so we have to get serious. This collapse of this factory, and by the way, the person from Tazreen, as far as I know, Delwar Hassan, is walking away scot-free. And the owner of the Rana Plaza, Sohail Rana, apparently has disappeared. And they're going to go away scot-free. They're not going to do any jail time. We have to, stop this, and we have to demand more of our own government. We have to demand that the United States Trade Representative's office will actually try to implement the laws. And if not, there's going to be penalties for these companies.
What about this boycotting of the European meeting where safety issues would be discussed that Juan and Kalpona were just talking about, Charlie Kernaghan?
Yeah, I mean, the starkness of these killings, whether it's the 112 who were burnt to death in Tazreen, or whether it's the collapse of the Rana Plaza, where the death toll is going to vastly exceed to 210 that are already known to be dead, 600, 700, 800 people still trapped. This isn't a game. We need to do something that's very, very concrete. We don't exist to take care of the labels, and we don't exist to take care of Walmart's profits. What we need are worker rights, and we don't get those from Walmart. We get those from unions and from union organizing. And Bangladesh is going to have to allow workers to organize independent unions. Every time a union is tried to organize, the thugs come in, the gangsters come in, the gangs come in, they beat the workers up. We have to say, as a country, if we're the United States and we're one of the largest importers of these goods from Bangladesh, we have a voice. And we need the workers in Bangladesh to have their right to organize a union. They have a right to have freedom and democracy. They have a right to speak out, and they have a right to demand change. And I mean, if we keep talking to Walmart, we're going nowhere. The workers need their rights. That's what we really need.
We're going to have to end it there. We thank you all for being with us. Charlie Kernaghan joining us from Pittsburgh, director of the Institute for Global Labor and Human Rights. And speaking to us from San Francisco, Kalpona Akhtar with the Bangladesh Center for Worker Solidarity, and Shumi Abedin, who is a survivor of the fire in Bangladesh that killed at least 112 garment workers last November. Together, they're touring the U.S. to talk about unsafe working conditions in Bangladesh and to demand workers be compensated. Thanks so much for joining us. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. We'll be back in a minute. Thanks so much for watching this report from Democracy Now!, your daily independent global news hour. We don't accept advertising or corporate funding, but rather rely on donations from viewers like you. Please make your contribution by visiting democracynow.org. We need your support today to keep bringing you this hard-hitting, in-depth reporting.